I think a lot of us do have shiny object syndrome, in the sense that like we can be working on something so diligently, but then when we see like the next best thing, we kind of get distracted and we want to work on that as well. And I was listening to a podcast one time and it said that doing that kind of like that shiny object syndrome is kind of a self-sabotaging technique, in the sense that you're not completing one task. And that's where a lot of us get caught up, is like we start something but we don't necessarily see it all the way through. Like right when we're about to like have a breakthrough with it, we stop and we do something else.
Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get real answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. My name is Akua Robinson, and I'm a makeup artist, beauty educator, and the creator of Friends in Beauty. I created Friends in Beauty to support like-minded creatives just like you on their quest to connect, network, and build genuine relationships within the beauty community. Join me every week as me and my special guests reveal the keys to success and longevity in the beauty industry, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. You ready?
Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty, Akua Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. Now, if you haven't noticed, I am trying out something a little bit different today. If you're watching on YouTube, then you may realize that I'm doing my solo episode on video. Yes. Normally when I do my solo episodes, y'all, I be like laid up in my bed with my scarf on my head. I be crusty eyed and everything, but I decided to try something a little different today and do my solo episode on video. So let me know if you prefer this better, or if you prefer to just continue to listen to my voice when I'm doing the solo episode. But I thought, why not? I look cute today. I need to come and update y'all on some things that have been going on. So why not try it on video? So y'all comment below, send me a DM or anything. Just let me know what you think. All right. So it has been a lot going on, y'all. Like this is tea time. This is tea time with Akua, because I feel like if you follow me on social media, then you kind of been keeping up with some of the things that I've been doing and everything, but it's also some things that I want to share with you, some personal things that I have been going through and how I've been working through them. So that is what this episode is going to be dedicated towards. And I also have some announcements of things that you may want to be involved in with me towards the end. But let's go ahead and kick this thing off. If you're watching on YouTube, then if you see me glancing over, you already know that I like to have my notes available, because I need to stay on task, because I'll get to going off on a tangent and all that good stuff. So one thing I want to share with you, something that's really exciting, is that I have read a new book. Normally I try to, stay on top of reading as a way to keep my mind fresh and to just continue to pour in new thoughts and new ideas and just stay mentally tough. And the latest book that I have read is this book right here. If you look on YouTube, there are tons of videos about this book, the 12-week year. Get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. So I have read this book and I have began to implement some of the things from this book, because the way that I came across it, I had seen stuff about the 12-week year before, but I was on Instagram Live maybe like a couple of months ago, and I was at a point where I was just feeling like really overwhelmed, really kind of stressed out. And I get really overwhelmed easily by my thoughts, as most creatives probably do. And if you're an entrepreneur, you probably get overwhelmed by your thoughts as well, because we don't lack ideas, but the execution behind it sometimes can be a little bit difficult, or just the trial and error of our everyday lives can throw monkey wrenches in there. And I was feeling like so frazzled, like I feel like I need to take a break, but then if I take a break, then I don't necessarily have things set up in my business in a way that I can still generate income. So I need to work on making passive income. It was just like a lot. I was sharing I was just like pouring out everything, all of my frustrations on that live. And one of the young ladies that was on the live was like, it sounds like you need to read the 12-week year. And like I said, I had come across it before, but I was like, okay, I'm going to take her advice and read the 12-week year. And basically what the 12-week year is teaching you is like, you know how we make these yearly goals? It's teaching us how to condense those 12 months of goals into 12-week spurts or sprints rather, so that you're getting more done in less time. Instead of trying to wait the whole year to achieve a goal, you're actually like breaking down the task into smaller bits so you can execute it quickly. And I have been working on it. I would say that one thing that I had to do was kind of go back to the drawing board with it, because the goals that I had originally written down, they weren't in alignment with what I really need to be doing. And that's one thing that I also probably struggle with as well, is just like I had to refocus, y'all. But the 12-week year has been so good, because what it will also do is, and it kind of reminds me of the practicing mind, in the sense that as long as you're working on the smaller things that lead up to the bigger goal, you're always in a mode of success, right? You're always doing something that's going to lead to the big thing. So you're always being successful. You're always being productive. So this is what this is helping me see, is like, as long as I'm working on the milestones that lead up to the big thing, I am doing something. Because a lot of times it could feel like you're not doing a damn thing. It can feel like what am I doing? Like a lot of times I really have to pause and be like, what am I doing? And what am I doing this for? I can get so easily distracted by things, and just always hearing the advice of different people, like my coaches or this coach, that coach, in the sense that, the way that I'm referring to it, in the sense that, like, a lot of times when you have a coach, they'll say, like, if you can't think of an idea about something, pay attention to the things that people are asking you about, right? So that's one thing that I had started to kind of get off track with, because a lot of people have been asking me about podcasting lately, about how to start their podcast, like just the journey and everything like that. So I'm like, okay, if you do know, I do have the D.I.Y podcast, of course. I'll leave it down below. So if you want to learn how to record and edit your own podcast, that's definitely a resource there for you. But then I kind of started to feel myself kind of shifting into like the podcast space, and that's not necessarily something I want to 100% focus on. Like I said, I had to refocus. So the goals that I wrote out first for my 12-week year were kind of geared toward podcasting, creating passive income, and the passive income I was thinking about was pertaining to podcasting. And I had to refocus and like, wait a minute, my first priority is my friends in beauty. So after refocusing and coming back to my senses, I do realize, like, yes, podcasting is something that people are asking me about. And yes, I do have something on the side that I can, give to them if they, want to pursue that. But I need to refocus and really think about friends in beauty first, right? How am I going to move forward with friends in beauty? How am I going to relaunch my membership for friends in beauty? Because building this community is like the most important thing, and it's really near and dear to my heart. So I feel like for me and a lot of entrepreneurs, you may be able to relate, and please let me know if you do. I think a lot of us do have shiny object syndrome, in the sense that like we can be working on something so diligently, but then when we see like the next best thing, we kind of get distracted and we want to work on that as well. And I was listening to a podcast one time, and it said that doing that kind of like that shiny object syndrome is kind of a self-sabotaging technique, in the sense that you're not completing one task. And that's where a lot of us get caught up, is like we start something but we don't necessarily see it all the way through. Like right when we're about to like have a breakthrough with it, we stop and we do something else. So that's why I had to refocus and be like, no, like, okay, the podcasting thing is cool, eventually, but right now I need to finish what I started, in the sense of like building this community, relaunching the membership, and like some other things that I wrote down on my 12-week year goals. But definitely grab this book and let me know what you think. If you have read it before, comment below like how you have implemented it in your life and if it's been working for you. I think I'm back at square one with my first week, because I had to like go back to the drawing board, but I was able to like, write down my goals, write down all of the milestones that I need to hit to reach those goals. And then you have to break it up into the task. You have to break the task up into, okay, I'm going to do this on week 1, I'm going to do this on week 2, and so on and so forth. So I'm really excited about that. So I did want to share that with y'all. So join me on this 12-week year journey of achieving your goals, because we don't have to wait until December to check things off of our list. We can break it down into bite-sized pieces and get this thing moving right along right now. All right. The other thing that I wanted to talk to y'all about is one thing that I'm really excited and intrigued about is this whole AI revolution. Like, I don't know if you all have been really following it, and if you haven't, you're probably living under a rock, okay? Because it's everywhere, and AI has been being used in so many different businesses for a very long time. For a very long time. But I want to talk about it in the sense of how it pertains to the beauty industry. And it got me even more excited because I just did a test shoot last week with one of my favorite photographers here in the DMV area, Damo shot me on Instagram. He promised me, y'all, I'm putting it on the podcast because he promised me. I have been trying to get Damo on the podcast for I don't know how long. So he said at the end of the summer, by the end of the summer, he's going to be ready and we're going to sit down and talk about it. But he was even talking to me about AI from the scope of a photographer. And it got me so excited because if you look on the Friends and Beauty page, I posted something from Project Beauty Brand, and she has all of these AI stock images that she uses for her clients, and the girls are so beautiful. Like, you would never know if she didn't say that they were AI stock images. I would have thought they were real people. And then my theory with AI when it comes to creating images is like, it has to be somebody out here in the world that looks like that. Like, I don't truly believe that it's a unique image. Like, I feel like we're just a combination of eyes, nose, lips, you know, certain features, and you can create somebody that looks like that. But it is really intriguing to me. And I feel like a lot of people are getting worried. A lot of people are getting afraid that, you know, soon we won't need makeup artists. Soon we won't need models. And I can see the fear in that. But I also do believe in human connection still. Like, there's no amount of technology that will ever be able to replace human connection. But it is making people's jobs a lot easier depending on what they're doing. And then Damo talked to me about certain AI things that you can use for editing, that you can use for one of the things with photographers is that if they do like events and stuff like that, they always have a large amount of photos, and there's AI out there that can sort through those photos for you and pick the best one, like narrow it down from like 1,000 photos to maybe 500 or 200 of the best images that, you know, aren't blurry, that aren't out of focus, so you don't have to manually like go through and pick it out. But I am really intrigued with the AI thing. But one thing about it is the young lady from Project Beauty Brand, she did share that in order to create these images, you have to be really good with the description in describing what you actually want to see. So I think that's where it's going to become a little bit tricky for some people, because if you don't know beauty, then you wouldn't really know how to describe like the image that you want to see. But go to the Friends and Beauty page and check it out. I am completely blown away. I have personally been using AI a little bit. I've been using Chat GPT. If you haven't heard of Chat GPT, like I said, you've probably been under a rock. But Chat GPT is an AI like chat bot that is that thing is changing the game. I be telling people, me and Chat GPT are like besties right now, because I be on there asking that thing all types of questions. But I've been using Chat GPT, and I have been experimenting with this other AI called Chopcast that has been able to take like my long form videos, like my interviews like this for the podcast, and then break it down into bite-sized pieces that I can post on social media. And that is like, that was the best one I have tried so far, because I had tried out a couple of them before that wasn't giving what it needed to give. Like, this one lets me still edit it a little bit if I need to go back, drag it back a little bit for context so that the clip makes sense. I can do that, and I absolutely love it. My girl Jocelyn put me on the Chopcast, one of my friends in beauty. Shout out to you, girl. I absolutely love it. So if you're doing like long form content and you want to break that down into smaller clips to use on Instagram or TikTok or something like that, definitely check out Chopcast, because I absolutely love it. I need to see if they got an affiliate link or something, because I could definitely be making some coins off of them. But the first video that you post or the first video that you try has to be 60 minutes. Yes, 60 minutes or shorter, and you can do it for free, and then after that it charges you. So you already know your girl was using like maybe like 4 of my different email addresses. I'm keeping it real. I was using like a few different email addresses to try it out with a different video, different videos that I was using. But I think that I am going to go ahead and invest in the paid version, because I absolutely need it for the podcast. And also, speaking of podcasts, y'all, I'm thinking of ways to switch up the Friends in Beauty podcast as well. Also, because I am at the point where I need to, I'm at the point where I need to, and I'm ready to hire an editor. As you know, for the last 3 years, I have recorded and edited every single episode of the podcast, the video and the audio, the graphics, the everything, literally everything for the podcast. And with me wanting to hire an editor, I kind of start to get overwhelmed with the different moving parts that I need to do on my end that go into creating the episodes. So I'm thinking of ways to like simplify the podcast experience so that I can just get straight to it. And then when I send it to an editor, it can be very like straightforward and straight to the point. They don't have to do too much inserting this and inserting the bio and all that other stuff. So starting with an interview that I did yesterday, and I just did one today, I have been switching up the format of how I'm like starting off the podcast. You'll see what I'm talking about when it happens. I have been switching up the format because I want to start hiring an editor. And also I want to switch it up to make it more like, I know a lot of the guests come on and it is very educational, but I want to be more intentional about guests sharing like actionable steps that you all can use to go and implement into your business. And I want to have some more fun, like I want more like fun segments and stuff like that. So if you have any ideas, I am open to suggestions on different fun segments that I can do with the guests to just kind of like spice it up, because I feel like it's a thin line between like just like the podcasts that I listen to or just the ones that I follow on social media. I was just telling my best friend this earlier. I feel like I need some kind of clips that's going to be, I don't know the word, clips that's really going to grab you on social media, like spicy or just fun, engaging. I think the educational clips, like even though I love them and people view them, I don't know if they resonate that much. You can let me know because you're the listener. But I feel like I need something that's a little bit more, I don't know, engaging, or that's just going to captivate the audience to want to learn more and want to listen to it more. So I'm trying to think of different segments to do. And I said I might just go on ChatGPT and ask, but y'all let me know, because you are the viewer, you are the listener. So let me know some things that you may want to see incorporated on the podcast. I've even thought about doing like a segment where you all can submit questions and I can give you some kind of advice on, you know, maybe your beauty business, on your makeup or whatever it is. Let me know if you think that's a cute idea or not, like a little, you know, Q&A segment or something every now and then with me. But another thing too is like I have to be intentional about doing these solo episodes, because y'all, your girl is popping. Like I have episodes at this present moment, when I'm recording this, it is June, and I have episodes already recorded that are set to release all the way out until September. Okay, so I have to be intentional about like really inserting these episodes, these solo episodes in there, and also like posting things on the Patreon. Shout out to my new patron Tamara, by the way. Shout out to you, girl. Thank you for the support. Yeah, I just have to be more intentional about, you know, these solo episodes. So let me know what you want to see and how I can be more of a service to you. That's what I'm here for. And speaking of podcasts, y'all, if you saw my social media, my personal page, Akua Robinson, if you're not following me, then what are we doing? I got to meet one of my favorite podcasters in person, David Shands, and his co-host Donni Wiggins. I went to New York a couple of weeks ago for the Social Proof podcast and Melanin Money tour. So I'm a huge fan of the Social Proof podcast. I've taken David's 5-day launch your podcast challenge before. The way I was introduced to him, my best friend Diana invited me to go with her to his first conference that he did in Atlanta back in 2019. I didn't even know who he was at the time, but I had such an amazing time at the conference. Met one of my old coaches there, enrolled in his program. I just had such a great time, and the podcast has been so informative, so inspirational, so everything. So much so that I've literally had David Shands on my vision board on my laptop for almost 2 years. And I always say I'm going to meet David one day and he's going to know my name. And I met him. I'm still working on him really knowing me by name. I think if he sees me enough times, he's going to know me by name. But oh my God, y'all. I had such an amazing time. I drove up to New York for the podcast with Diana, my best friend. And I had such an amazing time. And I was actually taking notes on everything that they were saying, but also taking notes on just the run of show and how things were flowing. So that's one thing that I do now is if I attend any type of event, it doesn't even have to be a podcast. It could be a gala. It could be anything, because I know what I have in mind for what I want to do with Friends in Beauty. So anytime I attend any kind of event, I'm always paying attention to everything. I'm paying attention to the run of show. I'm paying attention to how they presented the sponsors. I'm paying attention to every single detail. And I was paying attention to their details as well, because I do want to continue to do live podcasts. I did that one last year, which was really great, but I do want to continue to go to other cities and do a live podcast, do events and things like that. So I was paying attention to all of the things, but it was such an amazing experience, y'all. And one thing I can say is always get the VIP option. If there is ever a chance, or there's ever an opportunity where you can get general admission and there's a VIP option, if you can afford it, and even if you can't afford it, find a way, if you can, to get the VIP option, because that unlocks so many other opportunities. I got to network. I had the VIP option, so I got to network with so many other entrepreneurs there and meet some new people, because they had a private VIP only dinner after the live podcast that they did. So Donni actually sat at the table where I was sitting, and I told her, I was like, oh my God, I'm so tickled right now, because I have never seen her in person before. I've seen David in person before, but I watched them literally every day. And I was telling Diana, my prayer is that one day people are just as excited to see me as I was to see them, because I watch you every day, so it's just a little bit surreal to really see you in the flesh and be able to talk to you. Oh my gosh, I was just so excited. She was so nice. I was listening to the advice that she was giving some of the people that was sitting down with us, but totally cool experience. But always get the VIP option, because that's your opportunity to really have that one-on-one with people. You know what I'm saying? I got to take my picture with David, tell him how much the podcast and what he's doing means to me, had that conversation with Donni. I met so many cool people. And David is actually doing his first podcast summit July 30th and 31st, 2023. Just in case you're listening to this in the future. He might have others in the future, hopefully. But he's doing his first podcast summit coming up. And I'm an ambassador. I totally manifested this, because I wanted to go to the summit, but honestly, I did not know how I was going to afford it, because it's not in DC, it's in Miami. They have different tiers and different packages. Of course, I want the highest one, which is $3,000. And that's just not the way my life is set up right now, honestly. I could be transparent. That's not how it's set up yet. But that is going to be a breeze very soon, to just be yeah, bloop, $3,000. I ain't missing it, you know what I'm saying? But I totally manifested being an ambassador, because I get to go to the podcast summit for free, but it also comes with so many different ambassador perks, with me being able to network with this group of people that's in the group now that are ambassadors as well. But in being an ambassador, I get to share things like this with you, and offer you a discount as well. So a lot of my friends in beauty, like I said, have been coming to me and asking me about starting a podcast. And I said, oh, maybe I should start doing podcast consultations. I mean, I could, you know what I'm saying? I could, but is that my focus right now? I don't know. So if you want to learn about podcasting, if you want to know what it takes to start a podcast, sustain a podcast, make money from a podcast, the business of podcasting, David is bringing out the biggest names in podcasting right now to teach us all of that. And my goal for going to this conference is really to learn the business behind it, because I love this so much. It's time to make some money from it. Like, it's time to make this like a real legit business. And I have a vision for, you know, what I can do for my friends in beauty. Once I learn this information, it's gonna be up, y'all. It's gonna be up. Like, if you want to start a podcast, just stay tuned for a little bit, because I really have a vision for how I can help you do that eventually. Just not at this second, even though I could do it at this second, but that's not the focus right now. I know y'all follow me, I know you get it, but I have a vision. So my purpose for going to this summit is to really learn about the business side of it and bring it back to my community, and then be able to teach that to y'all as I'm implementing it as well. So if you are a podcaster, if you want to start a podcast, this is the best place to be. David is he is the podcast king, all right? He is one of the top podcasters on the charts, and he's bringing out so many other people who are top podcasters on the charts as well to teach us the game. Okay, to teach us what we need to do, the things that they have done personally to be successful. And even though people always say, oh my God, everybody has a podcast, a lot of people do have podcasts, but a lot of people are not consistent with their podcasts. People start and they stop. There are a lot of podcasts on the charts, but this is still fairly a new model, you guys. Like, this is still fairly a new model. So the future of podcasting is about to be insane, and we can have a piece of that pie, and I want a piece of that pie. So if you are interested in becoming a podcaster, or if you have a podcast already that you need to dust off and rejuvenate, definitely be my guest at the podcast summit. You can save 15% off your ticket for the podcast summit by using the code 15 Akua, 15 AKUA at checkout to save 15% on your ticket. Don't say I ain't never done nothing for you. I know you like to save some money, because I know I do too. So I will leave all the information down below. You can go to podcastsummit.com. Look at all the people that are going to be there. I feel like he's still adding people onto the roster, and he has plans for creating like smaller workshops leading up to the summit, so that, you know, you're still learning something before you get there. It's going to be amazing. I'm really so excited about it. So again, it is July 30th and 31st in Miami. I'm going down a little bit early, leaving a day later, so I can, you know, enjoy the Miami sun and everything like that. But I don't really want to go by myself. You know, the type of person I am, I will meet people there, and that's all cool, but I would love it if I had like some familiar faces or something, people that are familiar with me, to go with me. So if you can come, that would just be like so fantastic. But I did want to share that information with y'all. So yeah, that is what is going on in my life right now. Refocusing on my goals, trying out this 12-week year, because like I said, I be getting so overwhelmed sometimes with just my thoughts, myself, the things that I want to do. It's like a fine line between like taking it one day at a time and then wanting to just see the results. Like, I'm trying to find that balance. But yeah, you heard it here first. Podcastsummit.com. Use my code. Check out all of the amazing things that's going on with AI. And then also, I forgot to tell y'all, I am hosting the next Friends in Beauty event on July 21st. Save the date, put it in your calendar. If you're listening to this episode when it's released, then early bird tickets will be released on Friday for the event. I am bringing back our signature, the Friends in Beauty signature event, the speed networking event. I'm so excited about it. Anytime I have an event, before people leave, they're like, when's the next one? When's the next one? I'm like, I'm just trying to pace myself, okay? So at this point, I feel like I've been doing them like every other month so far. I've been doing a Friends in Beauty event this year, like every other month. So I think I'm gonna try to keep up with that. And we definitely have some more live podcasts and stuff coming soon. But yes, the speed networking event is back and it's up. Like, there's no other place that you're gonna go and have fun networking like you do when you come to Friends in Beauty. If you've been to a Friends in Beauty event before, please comment down below and let these people know, like, we have fun at Friends in Beauty. You will forget that you're networking because you're having so much fun. Even my introverts come in and they're like, oh my God, like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And with the speed networking event, like, you don't have that fear of like having to walk up to somebody and start a conversation. Like, it's happening for you. I'm bringing the people to you so that you can continue to build your network and build your community as well, because we got to be in this together. Like, community is so important. Having a network of people is so important, y'all. So I am just here as a conduit to provide that experience to you, and you just have to show up. All right, so I'll leave the details down below. But yes, thank you so much for tuning in. I can't believe I just did this episode on video. Like, if you're watching me on YouTube, hey, I can't believe it, because like I said, I literally be laying in my bed, like, with my mic, just like talking and looking a hot mess. But this this forces me to, like, you know, get myself together so I don't look crazy on camera and stuff like that. So let me know if you want me to do my live episodes, my solo episodes live like this, like on video. Leave your suggestions below for how some things you might want to see me incorporate into the Friends in Beauty podcast. And yes, I can't wait to see you soon, either at the podcast summit or Friends in Beauty event. If you're not in the DC area, I always say, let me know what city you want me to come to and I will pull up. Okay? I will pull up for you. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast, and stay tuned for a host of amazing guests that I have lined up for y'all. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Share this episode with at least one friend in beauty, and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts so that other friends in beauty can find this show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty, #Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.